M21 previews have completed and now we have seen the entire set. Jake and I wanted to do what we normally do and rank all of the M21 commanders in a tier list. However...
Thing is some of these cards are just really lackluster and I just don't think we need to do a tier list. We discussed it. It doesn't seem like there's enough commander potential here, but we're going to talk about the cards that we do see commander potential in, and the video starts right now.
Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below.
Hello and welcome to the day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. M21, we've got it. We got commanders from M21 as well to discuss. But first, if you would, do the good work and do us a favor. Go down there, hit like, hit subscribe. It's YouTube. You know the stuff.
I'm doing face stretches.
That's very good. Let's jump over into these cards. Okay, so as you can see, we are searched, set, M21, type legendary, type creature. These are our 11, am I doing that math right? 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, yes, commanders that are new from M21. As you can see, we got a lot of mono...
Returning.
Or returning. Yeah, or returning.
Yeah.
Wait, which ones are... Oh, Azusa. Azusa is returning.
That's pretty much it. That's it.
Got it. Karevik,
and by pretty much, I mean that is explicitly it. That chase card that is really lackluster as a commander is it.
Okay, and we also got a kind of reprint of Karevik. Little backstory, Jake's favorite commander of all time is the red-black Karevik that deals damage equal to CMCs when stuff is played and it's on the field. This Karevik is not as good.
It's funny, when you cut that card in half, you would expect, or I would say not in half, but
sure,
into 4/7.
Yeah.
You would think that 4/7 of that card would amount to a little more than a 3/2 that gives other creatures -1/-1. This just looks like a Knight of Souls betrayal on a stick. It's just kind of a bummer.
Yeah, so like I said in the opening, we really wanted to do a tier list of the commanders like we normally do for new sets. However, as we were going through these, we were giving so many of them E's or D's based on their actual commander potential, because some of these it seemed like were designed specifically with constructed play standard or so in mind, with the exception of a few. So we just kind of wanted to blaze through them real fast and talk about each of them individually. So we'll just go in order here. Mangar the Diplomats first up. We got a white creature, human cleric, 1 white, 3 other, 2/4 life linker. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell, each turn draw a card. So in a card right now popping up, hopefully if this is all done correctly, then you should be able to see a Mangara deck tech-ish 3 ways to build a Mangara that I did. I've covered this new commander pretty much at length, but I do think as far as a mono-white commander goes, there is some potential here.
Yeah, and you should be able to tell by the amount that Joel is talking about this card that this is going to be one of the highlights of today's video. I actually do think that there's a lot of potential here for mono white. When you think of mono white, you think mono white does need card draw. It's why SRAM Senior Edificer is so attractive.
Card draw and ramp are the two huge commander strategies pieces that you need in a deck that white absolutely is terrible at.
Yeah, it struggles with it. So I think this card, and definitely check out the 3 ways video that we're going to put in the cards. But yeah, I think this card has a lot of potential. I like what you could do with it. I don't know if it would replace SRAM for me as far as a mono white general, but I do think that of the cards we're going to talk about today, this is one that you should definitely look at. Go ahead and look it up, look at some strategies of it, and see if it's a commander that works for you.
It's interesting that you mentioned SRAM, Jake, because I like when you've got 2 different options that are vastly different build styles. Both of those as commanders would be built completely different.
Yeah, that's true. SRAM is very much like throw as much equipment and auras in there as possible.
Vehicles,
make sure
stuff.
That you're cantripping and do all of that stuff. Mangara is a very different strategy.
Yeah, more political, more pillow forty kind of build to it, and I appreciate that. A lot.
It's the diplomat.
Exactly. So. There can be a lot of homogenous builds with EDH and with different types of creatures that Wizards prints. So I like having 2 options that are now the two clear front runners for me as far as mono white commander. Having that with wonderful Howard Lyon art where the fabric absolutely looks real and pops off the page just like a normal Howard Lyon piece. Mangara, we're going to give it thumbs up. That's how we'll do this one.
Yeah, sure.
Jake.
We're going to do a thumbs up. Thumbs up today. It's a thumbs up. Let's talk about Baron Tellurian Archmage. Rocking the word Tellurian, that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
2 blue, 1 other. Legendary creature, human, wizard. Whenever Baron Tellurian Archmage enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand at the beginning of your end step. If a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card. 2/2. I think, this is a kind of card that is going to be brutal in standard. I can see build arounds for this being absolutely backbreaking in upcoming sets. However, when I think about mono blue for commander, I think about Padim and Urza and big powerhouse cards like this with a lot of proven power. I don't know if blue is going to be I don't know if Baron is going to be a good commander at the helm of a blue deck.
It's not quite enough for commander. You've got this great ability to draw cards built into it if permanents are returning to your hand. However, for me, for Baron, it gets really locked into it being mono blue. If Baron was blue red or blue white or blue white red, I think that this would be a completely different conversation we're having. But because we are so locked into mono blue, it just doesn't quite get there for me.
Yeah.
I could see it in standard, though. I think you're right.
I do like velocity. I really do like velocity.
Oh, of course.
Think about saving, playing Baron to save a planeswalker that's likely going to go down or hit for lethal, or you want to be able to get that extra utility out of whatever creature, be it like, I don't know, for example, a Kite Sail Freebooter that's coming out. You can play Kite Sail Freebooter, you take a certain spell, but then later on, let's return Kite Sail and look at the hand again. There's a lot of really good utility with this card, and I know 100% that people are going to find a build for it in Constructed. I really like this card, but not as a commander. I would have to give it a thumbs down.
I do think that this card is missing the word flash to be completely over the top backbreaking, and maybe at a certain point it did. It feels like a card that would have flash, and you just, if if you're flashing it in, it's just to save a creature or planeswalker, and the whole second caveat is not fulfilled by you using it with its flash ability as long as it's not your turn. But yeah, let's move on to your old pal Karevik the Spiteful.
I do like that idea of making it a not your turn thing to get the second part of the card. I kind of like that. All right, Karevik the Spiteful. We've already briefly talked about this card, but I'm going to say vastly different from OG Karevik that I absolutely love at the helm of my casual Rakdos deck. I mean, it's casual. It has stuff like Grim Monolith in it, but it just is not a CEDH deck. It's a very fun,
it's a very optimized, strong 7 Punisher Rakdos deck. It's very good. It's
a Punisher deck.
Karevik's thumb down for me. It's other creatures get -1/-1. It's just not impactful. We don't even have to linger too much on it. Vito Thorn.
We had this conversation. I said to Joel, could you imagine replacing Erebos as your general with Karevik? And
Erebos is one of my favorite EDH decks. It's a mono black EDH deck. It's very strong. It's a lot about making a lot of black mana and using it to kill everybody at once. In the vast plethora of mono black generals available, Karevik is nowhere even in the conversation.
It's a sideboard card,
right?
It's a freaking sideboard.
Honestly, I could see it being such in your deck
for such a maybe for the meme, for the lols,
for the lols,
it's
for
just
the flavor.
Gonna die to all the everything that I do.
Well, exactly. Awful. It is a very Punisher deck. Vito Thorn of the Dusk Rose. 1 black, 2 other, 1/3. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. For 5 creatures you control can gain lifelink until end of turn. So my feeling on this, whenever I see a new legendary creature vampire, is how does it compare to Edgar Markov? And I know people are going to yell at me for this. I can already feel the comments being typed. But
sure.
I'm not saying that Edgar Markov is the only vampire commander that's viable, but at the same time, I also very strongly and vehemently want to say that Edgar Markov is the only commander that is a vampire that's viable for that tribe. I am a huge fan of it.
Well, yeah,
it's got the colors.
Why do you want to cut out red and white?
Right.
What what incentive is there to go mono black and then you're like, well, I'm gonna run Veto Thorn of the Dusk Rose in my mono black. I think this is a great card for any vampire deck.
It can go in it, right? This will go in it, great, and it's awesome to have another legendary vampire.
Yeah,
we're really starting to get this trove of legend vampires.
That's just like, is Vito here? Hey, does anybody know? Is Vito going to be here tonight? Yeah, Vito's here. He's hanging out with all the other
are you talking about Thorn of the Dusk Rose? Oh, yeah, that dude's the best.
Yeah, he's here. He's new. He just moved into town, but yeah, he's here.
So, thumbs down as far as commander for Vito.
Thumbs down, man. Yeah.
Let's, this is one that's a little complicated. We'll have to figure it out. Gad Drac, not the card, but complicated if you're going to build a commander out of it. Gad Drac, the Crown Scourge. Okay, I'm going to make him a little bit bigger here. Could have made that bigger at the beginning.
Sure.
Can't attack unless you control 4 or more artifacts. At the beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each non-token creature that died this turn, flying 5/4 for 3.
There's a number of problems going on here. First of all, it is just an awful mono red commander, dude.
Yeah, it is.
So should we continue talking about it? Let's talk about it a little bit. Can't attack unless you control 4 or more artifacts. So yeah, in EDH, you're going to be crapping out a bunch of mana rocks to make sure that you're able to,
especially in
continue getting your commander out. The big appeal here with this card is, if you get the nut draw, like Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, whatever, you can play this on turn 1 in Commander. Like, this can just happen as early as turn 1. And then, yes, you have a 5/4. But then, what do you want to build into the deck? You want to build in a bunch of, like, burn spells that you're going to burn creatures down so that you can make sure to get more treasure tokens? I see this as, like, every single artifact that could have ever possibly existed in Magic, and then make sure that you're always able to keep ramping this out, and make sure that you have stuff like Fervor and Anger.
But what are you ramping out? It's just a 5/4 flyer. It doesn't even say can't be blocked. It doesn't even say deals poison damage. Haste, right? There's nothing exceptional about it outside of the fact that it costs 3 for a 5/4.
The thing is we're doing a video about this, and I'm trying to justify the possibility of making this a commander when I've already explicitly stated that I think it's awful.
Yeah, it's just bad. This is clearly, again, built for constructed. Maybe, it's going to be for the limited lulls. A lot of these cards, they are very clearly for standard.
Let's talk about it from a Pioneer perspective,
right?
Which is you combine this with Revel in Riches or whatever is that the card that you win the game if you have 10
treasure
or more
tokens.
treasure tokens or something like that. Yeah, I think in certain situations like decks like those, maybe you can figure out some sort of janky wonky combo that you can pull off.
Yeah,
but no, as far as at the helm of a red, I mean, like Godo, dude. I mean, now obviously Godo needs a ton of really powerful and expensive cards in order to be good.
Sure.
But there are other red EDH generals that you can use that are going to be a lot better than a 5/4 that you can ramp into early. I mean, unless you're playing 1v1, come at me in the comments. No, but 1v1 is not EDH. That's not what
that's not what we're talking
doing.
About. Yeah. Subira, I mean, here's another one, another mono red commander that is clearly built for constructed and not for commander. Subira Tulzidi Caravaner, 1 red, 2 other, 2/3 haster. At least it has haste. 1 to make another target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Okay. Pay 2, tap it, discard your hand until end of turn. Whenever a creature you control power 2 or less deals combat damage, draw a card. I could see this one a little bit more if you make Subira Queen of the Goblins, and it's a Goblins deck that is constantly just crapping out goblins. They're falling off of these elephant caravans and they're just running wild and getting in there.
I do like that it has haste.
Right.
Because you can bring it in,
it's just
and
to use
then
its
immediately
ability.
use the ability.
Right.
Until end of turn, whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So, I mean, there is potential here.
Yeah, you're drawing more goblins. You're drawing your goblin lords.
More goblins.
Yeah.
And, stuff. Yeah, maybe. But still...
I'm
just not super enthusiastic about it, but I do kind of like the idea of Subira, Queen of the Goblins, that's just, sending goblins out. I think that's kind of cool.
Azusa Lost was seeking. What's
thumbs
that?
Down.
No, what? Oh yeah, thumbs down. Again, get Krenko, man. I think Krenko is the one that taps to create goblins, and you just crap out so many goblins. I've seen those decks just have hundreds of little goblins on the board, and if that's the best we can come up with for this, let us know down below if we're not seeing some CDH playability. We don't play a lot of CDH, so it's possible, but I just don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have a hand in order to discard a hand.
Sure.
So I do like that about the card. There is velocity here built into the general, which is interesting and which is really neat. But it does pigeonhole you into a very specific strategy, which is play a lot of creatures that are low to the ground and likely not impactful at all.
Well, I'll tell you, Cavalcade is already a deck in Standard. This is a card that looks like it should fit pretty well into that Cavalcade deck.
It would be in the spot of like Annex or Torbran or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
that's what makes it tough for me because... That's just what makes it tough for me because I can't see both of those cards are infinitely better. And so, I don't know, possibly there's a red deck with this.
It does help with go wide. But, I mean, we're not talking about Standard. We're talking about
I'm trying to just make
the big difference.
I don't want to be crapping on these cards because it's cool. I mean, as like a side note, when we're about halfway through these, we are having a ton of new legends submitted into the Commander sphere this year. That is a huge thing for them in design space. It's nice that we're getting some interesting low CMC legendary creatures to increase some deck diversity and get some brewing going in Standard that are obviously not crazy pushed so that they're viable in Commander in that play sphere. These are viable in Standard or very cool reprints of chase cards. Azusa Lost but Seeking, getting back to the cards. We know this card. It was just reprinted. We'll get another reprint of it. This is definitely the chase card, or one of the chase cards for money. 1 green, 2 other, 1/2. You may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. But for Commander, I mean, you run out of lands in your hand. You're just in green. There's not a ton of card draw. Most of it's based around creatures on the battlefield or having creatures with high power. So you need some of that.
It's not Thrun the Last Troll. It's not Omnath Locus of Mana. That is Omnath Locus of Mana.
I'm not sure if that's the Omnath, but the Omnath, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the one from, I believe it was Zendikar, World Wake. But no, Azusa Lost but Seeking, it's, Joel and I, we talked about this before the video. What it comes down to is eventually you just run out of lands. So unless your strategy is specifically to play every green draw card spell and just like really big creatures, I mean, I'm sure that there are some players that have an Azusa deck that is competitive, it's mostly casual.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is a great reprint. It's a great chase card. It's another card that's built well for constructed, but I think as a commander, it's just kind of very middling. I don't hate it because it's really nice to be able to ramp out all your lands in the first couple turns, but unless you are able to keep your hand filled up with lands, aka keep your hand filled up with draw spells,
right?
It's just kind of going to fall flat.
Yeah, if somebody asked me, Joel, what I want, I want to play a mono green commander. Who should I play? Azusa's not even in my top 10, probably. So that's just where we have fallen with a lot of this list, including Joel Rail, Monvali Recluse. This is an awesome-looking card, just not built for Commander.
Yeah, whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 green cat creature token. Well, that would be cool if there were spells like, I don't know, like Cryptic Command. Anything that's going to net a card. But yeah, blue needs to be here, black needs to be here. Green, I'm not saying green doesn't have draw spells.
Sure.
Green has good draw spells, but it's just there aren't enough, and at the if you want to pack every green draw spell into this deck, you're going to be compromising better spells that you could have in there simply so that you can have draw spells.
Well, and it doesn't even roll on itself, Jake. It just says whenever you draw your second card each turn, not whenever you draw a card besides the first card you draw each turn, create a 2/2. Then we're in a different world.
You could do it on your turn and on your opponent's turn. So
sure, but you got to draw.
It's not awful, but it's still a lot, and
it seems like a
getting
standard
from it
card.
Are cats.
Right.
You get to run stuff like Doubling Season and anything that parallel lives, anything that's going to give you extra tokens is going to go well in this card. But honestly, it's just not super impactful. A 1/2 for 2 that creates 2/2s. Everything that this creates it dies to like pyroclasm. So it's like.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, and the ability to, until end of turn, giving your creature's base power toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. If you're playing a only green deck, you probably want to have deployed your resources when you're pumping 6 mana into Joel Rail. Now, again, in standard, if you have a blue-green deck that's drawing a lot of cards every single turn, maybe even Teamer would work really well for this, drawing a lot of cards every turn, I could see you wanting to give your creature's base power toughness, especially if you're running something like Sprite Dragon, which is going to have +1/+1 counters on top of it, so it adds directly to its entire power toughness. I mean, for Commander, thumbs down for me, unfortunately. For Standard, absolutely,
it's a thumbs
I would
down.
Try it. We've got some options down here, though. Let's bring these up a little bit bigger because we actually have some possible playable cards. Niobe, Esteemed Speaker. Okay, we're going to jump right to Niobe, actually. 1 blue, 1 white for a flashing legendary cleric, 2/1. Whenever she enters the battlefield, you can return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, you gain life equal to that creature's converted mana cost. Pay 3 with 1 white and 1 blue in their tapper. Discard a legendary card to draw 2 cards. Jake, I actually think this has some potential.
Well, it's low to the ground, It's fast, and it does good stuff. It has velocity built into it, it has flash built into it, and it has blink effect built into it. So, yeah, it's also 2 colors, which is a lot better than a lot of the cards that we've talked about today.
And some built-in card advantage. Pitch the legendary you don't need to draw 2 cards. Throw away the 8-cost legendary artifact you've got in your cool EDH deck to draw 2 lands just because you're looking for lands at that point, you know?
And then resurrect whatever that 8 cost was, that 10 cost was, using, white. So, I think that there is some good playability here, and I would actually be interested to maybe brew around this. I do like that it's flash, so... it's quick. You can flash it in EOT and then be ready to use that draw spell on the next turn. I think the velocity on this card is very, very nice. And again, think about good ETBs because you're getting to blink something.
And
this is really nice.
So you're also protecting that thing as well. Look, you can use this, or think about this, you can use 100%. This defensively in response to a targeted removal. Niobe, that's what I'm saying. I really like it.
It is a creature you control, so you can't help out a friend.
Absolutely.
But you can definitely help out yourself. So once you get something big out there, big and splashy, something you want to protect, the fact that you have a commander that you can depend on... to be a blink spell for you.
Yeah, at 2 and then 4 and then 6. You can do that in a control deck. That's not bad.
Yeah, dude. No, that's great. That's like knowing that you have a cloud shift in hand, just like some sort of way of protecting something. Like that's a big deal. Like this commander right here is built-in evasion. Oh yeah. So it's neat. Built-in evasion and velocity. So it may actually be the best commander that we're reviewing today.
Radda, Heart of Keld is up next. It's a 1 green, 1 red, 1 other Gruul legendary elf warrior for 3/3. If it's your turn, she has first strike. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands from the top of your library. Sounds familiar on a very expensive card. 6 to give her +X until in a turn where X is the number of lands you control. The only word she's missing is trample. You can give her trample so easily. This actually seems like it's got some playability to me on the mere fact that you can have an Oracle of Mal Daya out of your command zone. Am I right?
So, yeah, it is Oracle of Mal Daya, isn't it?
It's an Oracle of Mal Daya out of your command zone that also can be fitted with some armor late game. And
so the only thing where it falls
fences.
short from Oracle of Mal Daya is the fact that Oracle of Mal Daya is green and can slot into any deck that has green. This is specifically a Gruul card.
Sure.
However...
But in a green-red ramps to X spells or ramps to, Forerunners, the boars I'm thinking of. And
I do really
kind of
like that it has a... so if you build Anger... oh man, dude, if you have haste in your deck and you have a lot of mana, like you likely will have a lot of mana, you just play Radda, turn her sideways, and then use that ability, and you might even have the mana to use that ability twice.
That's what I'm saying.
Green.
It's got a colon. Depending on when you're watching this, I haven't yet shot the video, the 3 ways to build Radda Heart of Keld. I will be. If you're watching this around the, after the end of June, then that video probably exists, and you should go watch 3 ways to build Radda Heart of Keld, because I am super excited about this commander in general from this pick of the litter of M21 legendary creatures. And dude, I thought it was crazy. Seeing an Oracle of Mal Daya out of the command zone, I think that's just so sick.
Yeah, that's definitely... So just so you know, Oracle of Mal Daya has 1 printing ever. And it's very expensive because it is scarce. I don't want people to think that Radda is going to be a super expensive card. This is a little finance tidbit. But just so you know, because it is going to be... Zendikar is a very expensive set because of the fetch lands, and it's an older set. Oracle of Mal Daya is an EDH staple.
And they also had the weird artifact chase thing in Zendikar too, where you could get like a piece of Power 9 or something was the rumor.
Oh yeah,
right?
There was like priceless treasures in the first wave of boxes. This card is very, very cool. It's very good, but don't be fooled by that clause in overpay for these. I do think that this card will balance out over time, as it is specifically Gruul, unlike Oracle of Mal Daya, which is
can go into any deck with green.
A green card, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the last one we've got. This is actually the box topper. This is not in the actual set. Sorry, not box topper, but buy a box promo. Renansari Inseparable. It's a dog cat for Naya +1 for a 4/4. Whenever you cast a dog, create a 1/1 cat. When you cast a cat, create a 1/1 dog. I have already created a 3 ways to build Renansari. It ended up being the 1 way to build Renansari, in my opinion. But it does have a lot of potential as a commander, as a very specific type of commander. It is a fun tribal commander to build that also, I think, has strength outside of what normal tribal commanders might have. That last ability is Naya to tap it. Inseparable deals damage equal to the number of dogs you control. You gain life equal to the number of cats.
I like it. It's very casual. It's very casual, but it's very cool.
Yeah.
I like that it's dog, cat. I'm sure that there's like a big meme out there where people are like, oh yeah, dog, cat, cat, dog.
Right.
But yeah, Naya is a good color combination as well. Having 3 colors in this, you're never going to have mana problems because your colors are based in green.
Right.
Yeah, it's a cool card. It really does kind of, specifically point you in the direction of playing
cats and
dogs. But also, as people have mentioned, and this was something you talked to me about, but changelings as well. That changelings are actually a really good way to go with this kind of build.
Trigger both abilities with 1 card play. This one is very cool to me. I would say that it was my favorite of the bunch until we saw Radda and Niobe. I think that both of those cards have a lot of potential. Mangar was early on in the previews, and I think he's got potential as well. But honestly, it's kind of, if you've followed along, it's kind of those 4, and the rest of them, this is like just a needed reprint card, and the rest of them are standard playable possible,
It's a core set.
Right.
And they're designing sets for standard, and if cool commander cards come out of them, and sometimes they do create cards for commander, then great. But mostly, it just seems like it's a set of cards that are, it's just...
They are what they are.
Right. Yeah, they are what they are. They're just some magic cards. Is there some commander potential? Yes. Maybe if there's something that we missed, leave it in the comments. We want to hear about it. If there's a cool combo that we don't know about, we would love to hear about that.
Absolutely. We'd also love it if you'd go down there, hit like, hit subscribe to let us know you like this video and you want to see more videos like it. We have a Patreon. Link is down in the description below. We got monthly giveaways over there. Lots of cool stuff. Behind the scenes videos, early access to videos. Go check it out and see if you're a good fit. If you enjoy it, we think you will. And if you want to hang out with us, we stream on Twitch and on YouTube. Hit that notification bell down there so you know when we go live on YouTube. And go find us over on Twitch. Jake and Joel are Magic. Jake, I'm tapped out.
That's it. You said all of the things. I don't get to say anything.
Happy M21, everybody.
I say some stuff. Sometimes I say things.
I never listen to it.
I don't either.